What is up, guys? Randomonium here. We're going to be going over the Week 2 Fantasy LCS predictions, and we will be discussing the Week 1 results. So if you don't want to know who won in Week 1, or if you don't want, this is basically going to be your spoiler warning. So I'm basically going to start spoiling the results right now. So if you don't want them spoiled, click off. But Week 1 was absolutely crazy. It had to have been one of the craziest opening weeks in LCS that I think I've ever seen. TSM went 0-2, CLG went 0-2. Just crazy games. Not just in NA, but in EU as well. There's just so many different things that I could talk about right now. But in general, it was just absolute insanity. I don't think anybody could have predicted what happened in Week 1. I mean, on the EU side, we had Roccat beat G2. We had H2K beat Fnatic. Vitality went 2-0 that week and looked great. There was all this crazy stuff going on in both the NA and EU LCS for Week 1, which, as a fan, I absolutely loved it. The games were just amazing. I was shouting at my computer screen, they were so good. But as an analyst, as somebody who's trying to predict what's going to happen, oh my god, I'm in trouble. I'm in serious trouble because I have no idea what's going to happen now. After this Week 1, all bets are off. So take this video with a grain of salt. I do have a brand new system in place. As you can see from the colors on your screen, hopefully I'm not going to give anybody seizures or anything. But yeah, so I've got a new system in place that basically automates a lot of the calculations for me that will hopefully allow me to basically provide more information and really get these videos up to date. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through the new system. This video is gonna be a bit longer than normal, just because I need to explain what's going on with this new system. And if you guys have any questions, just leave a comment. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. But this is basically the results from Week 1. So what I did is for every single role, I basically took the average and the standard deviation for each role, and then I color coordinated everything based off of how many standard deviations a certain player was from the average. So if somebody was 2 standard deviations or more away, then I colored them in white, and the only person who did that was Jizuki from Vitality. And if they were more than 1.5 standard deviations away, then I colored them pink. So you can see we had quite a few people in pink: Wonder, Cabo Shard, Svenskeren, Xmithy, Perks, Jarnan, Smoothie, Ollie. So yeah, and you can see how the tiers go down. So basically it's kind of like anybody who's white, pink, or purple is S tier. Anybody who's red is A tier. Anybody who's either the dark blue or the light blue is kind of B tier. Anybody who's green is kind of C tier. And anybody who's yellow or black is the D tier. So you can see that in general, the teams that went 2-0 did very well, obviously, and the teams that went 0-2 didn't do so well. The other thing that I really like about this system is it allows you to really quickly identify which people are outperforming the rest of their teammates. Like, for example, Bjergsen. Most of his team was yellow and black, but Bjergsen was green, even though TSM went 0-2. So that's kind of an indication that Bjergsen is kind of outperforming the rest of his team. And then, for example, if we look at Cloud9, most of them are purple and pink, but Sneaky is in red, which indicates that he's performing worse. He performed worse in Week 1 than the rest of his team. So with this type of color coordination, you can very quickly see who's doing really well on their teams and who's doing really poorly. Like another one is Optic, Power of Evil. He did pretty well on his team, while the rest of his team was green, yellow, green and yellow mainly, but he was blue. So you can basically just go through your players pretty quickly by looking at this stuff and seeing who's doing well for your fantasy lineups. Feel free to pause the video if you like. I'm probably not going to publish this just because I have some kind of proprietary calculations involved in this, but you can definitely pause it and definitely take a look at all of the different players and how they stacked up this week. So basically what I am doing is I'm tracking all of the stats by different roles on these different tabs. And what I'm doing is I'm basically calculating what is the average points that the person is going to get for a loss, and then I have a scaling factor if the person wins. So I basically determined what's the ratio between wins and losses to basically get this scaling factor, and this allows me to basically hopefully predict how many points a player or a team is going to get based on how many wins they get in a given week. But of course that is entirely dependent upon me actually predicting the games correctly. So basically what I can do is I'll show you what week 2 looks like. So based off of how many wins a team gets here over on the right hand side, I can kind of predict how many points a player is going to get based off of their average points for a loss. And then I adjusted, if they were going to plan on winning, then I adjusted by a scaling factor on top of that. So that's kind of like the basic math behind it. It's obviously, I only have 1 week of data, so the math is definitely going to be off. I'm definitely going to have to tweak the ratios and the scalings and things like that as the weeks continue. But this is the best I got with a sample size of 1 right now. So hopefully I can improve this next week, and every week it'll get more and more accurate. So this week it might not be terribly accurate, but it's the best I have for you guys. So hopefully you guys like it. So let's go into the week 2 matches before we get into who's actually going to do well this week. So first matchup, we have Clutch versus CLG. They both looked, I think they both underperformed in week 1. I think CLG definitely underperformed more than Clutch. I do think CLG would be the favorite, but I don't know if CLG is going to be able to make enough changes over the week in order to beat Clutch. So I'm giving Clutch kind of a very slight favorite. So I give them a 1, which means that it's going to be a very close match, but I give Clutch kind of the upset victory there. TSM versus Optic. I think TSM will win. I think they'll get their first win of the split against Optic. Cloud9 versus Echo Fox. I think Cloud9 will probably be the favorite. I am predicting an upset. I think that Echo Fox is actually going to be really hard to beat this week. They came off of a very convincing 2-0 week in week 1, and I think that Echo Fox is one of those teams that really snowballs off of confidence. The real issue is going to be, are they going to get overconfident? And I think that that's going to wind up actually being their downfall, is in either one of these games this week or maybe next week, they're going to get overconfident and they're going to wind up losing, and then they're going to start faltering and they're going to start bickering and blaming each other, because I believe that Echo Fox is a very up and down team. But I think this week they should still be good. 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid is definitely the winner there. Even though 100 Thieves did really well in week 1, I think Team Liquid is the better team. Guardians versus FlyQuest. I'm predicting FlyQuest to win. FlyQuest looked surprising in week 1. I was really impressed with FlyQuest. Echo Fox versus TSM. I'm picking Echo Fox to upset. Some people probably won't even think that that's an upset. They'll just think that Echo Fox is a better team than TSM. But I do think that TSM is still kind of finding their traction, while Echo Fox is firing on all cylinders right now. Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. I'm picking Cloud9. Optic versus FlyQuest. I'm picking FlyQuest. Guardians versus CLG. I'm picking CLG. Team Liquid versus Clutch. I'm picking Team Liquid. Moving on to the EU side, Giants versus G2. I'm picking G2. Even though Giants did pretty well in the first week. Splice versus Rocket. I'm picking Splice. Misfits versus H2K. I'm picking Misfits. Vitality versus Fnatic. I think it's going to be a really awesome game, but I do pick Fnatic. Schalke versus UOL. I think that Schalke is going to win. UOL looked very shaky in their first week. H2K versus Giants. I don't really know who's the favorite there. I think the Giants might be the slight favorite. I'm picking H2K, so I've labeled that as a potential upset. UOL versus Rocket. I'm picking Unicorns of Love. And then Vitality versus Misfits. I'm picking Misfits. Splice versus Schalke, I'm picking Splice. And then Fnatic versus G2, probably, definitely the match of the week. I think Fnatic is the favorite, and I do have them as the slight victor. I think it's going to be a very close match, but I think Fnatic will probably pull it off. So based off of those predictions, your best teams this week are FlyQuest, Fnatic, and Misfits. Those are the teams that I would expect to do the best. However, you can see that for the competitiveness for all of my predictions, they're all 1s or 2s, meaning that I am not very sure in my predictions this week. I think pretty much anything can happen, and 1 or 2 upsets can really throw off the balance of things. So while I do think that FlyQuest, Fnatic, and Misfits are probably the best off, I don't think that they're on solid ground at all. I think that they could definitely get upset in any of their games. Other teams to look at would be G2, TSM, CLG, potentially actually the next in line would be Splice, Team Liquid, and Echo Fox before TSM, CLG, and G2. And then kind of your middle of the road teams would be Cloud9, Clutch, Unicorns of Love, and Schalke. And then you can see as the list goes down, the teams that are kind of negative would be H2K, Roccat, 100 Thieves, Optic, Guardians, Vitality, and Giants. So anyway, we plug all of this stuff into all of the equations that I have, and this is what you get. So I know that it's a lot of color, and I know that it's a little bit complicated, but I'll try to break it down by role. So let's start off with the team role. So based off of the math that I have Fnatic and Unicorns of Love actually being the top point scorers this week. Even though Unicorns of Love is going 1-1 this week, they put up a lot of team points. So that's definitely going to be a favor for them. I've also got Misfits is pretty high. And then after that, it's looking like Team Liquid, Echo Fox, FlyQuest, and Splice. And then working your way down from there, it's looking like G2, TSM, H2K, Clutch, Optic, Cloud9. And then after that, you probably don't want to start any other teams. I think I've covered at least a dozen teams there. So those are your team points breakdowns right there. For top lane, I have Alfari as being the top point scorer. I have him at 56 points based on the calculations. Like I said, it's a sample size of 1, so I can't guarantee these calculations are going to be right this week, but that's what the calculations say for right now. I also have Wonder getting a lot of points, 47.5 points. Continuing down the list, next up would probably be, it's looking like White Knight, Soaz, Flame, Huni, Impact, those type of players. Continuing down, Haunter, Darshan, Odo, and then Licorice and Smitty J. And then besides that, the rest of them are kind of lower ranked as far as points are concerned. In the jungle, top point scorer this week is going to be Maxlore based on the calculations. Right behind him would be Xmithy, Broxa, and Cold. And then beneath them, it's looking like Anda, Yankos, Dardoch, Svenskeren, Xerxes, Rainover, Pride Stalker, or Pride actually. He's not Pride Stalker anymore, he's just Pride. And then Santorin. Mid lane, Senkux, top point scorer. So we're kind of seeing a trend here. Looking like Misfits is what the math is predicting is going to be the top point scorers. So Senkux is getting the highest points based on the calculations, followed by Perks, Caps, and Fly. Beneath them, we've got Exile and Bjergsen, and then beneath them, Jensen, Pobelter, and Niski. And then beneath them, it'd be Power of Evil, Phoenix, Huhi, and Jizuki. Alright, moving on to bot lane. Hansama, highest point scorer, 55.84 points. Right beneath him, Hijarnin, Cubby, and Double Lift. And then beneath them, it's looking like Reckles, and Altec. And then for kind of like your mid-tier points, you're looking at Samux, Upset, Wild Turtle. So Upset if he plays, that's the question. I haven't heard any word whether or not Upset's going to play or whether it's going to be Vander filling in for him again. And then it's looking like Sneaky and Stixay. And then for support, top point scorer is Mickey. Mickey put up a ton of points in week 1. I actually want to call him out because he put up a ton of points. Misfits, 31 points. That's just a ridiculous amount of points for support. Adrian also did really well in the support role. But yeah, and then also we had Smoothie and Ollie. They actually were the top point scorers. But Mickey performed really well for Misfits. So we're expecting that this week he's going to be the top point scorer for support. And then right beneath him would be Ollie and Totoro. And then right beneath them, it's looking like it's going to be Adrian and Stunt and Kasing. And then right around the mid-tier points, you're looking at Hillisang, Wadid, Smoothie, and Vander, and then perhaps Sprattle. And besides that, that's kind of when you start getting into the bottom half as far as the points are. So actually, that was actually pretty fast, I think, that I went through all that math and things like that. Ultimately, this is going to make things a lot easier for me. I know that it's a lot less of like, I feel this way, I feel that way, but I think that's probably a good thing, that I'm kind of relying more on the math and the statistics again. I feel like my predictions were a lot more accurate when I relied on that. So hopefully you guys like this system. Let me know if anything was confusing or if I should change stuff, or if the colors were distracting, or any type of constructive feedback you guys got, I'd be happy to take. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys got what you needed out of this. Obviously pause the screen if you want to write down any values that you want to look at for potential trades and things like that. But I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium signing off.